FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
If I can sort of have my cake and eat it a little bit here, I'm emphasizing near-term strength, but medium-term vulnerabilities. And if I can focus my risk discussions on those sort of medium-term vulnerabilities, let's call it second half of 2010, I think I'd highlight four, some of which have been touched on, and it seems like four is the magic number, but let me run through them quickly. And by the way, I'd like to say hi to all our viewers in Poland, who we seem to be pandering to at the moment. The first is, no one's actually mentioned this, so I will, oil. If you think about what gives you a global recession, oil is 5 for 5, including, frankly, 2008, 2009. It so happens that oil and Lehman's came together, so it's almost impossible to distinguish between the two. But if we've seen oil prices move back above $80 a barrel, and if they go to $100 or above, not saying that's going to happen, but if it does happen, that would be something I think would add significant near-term, medium-term downside risk. Second, the fiscal issue, which we can talk about all day, don't worry, we won't. But I think the issue that I haven't heard anyone latch onto is the sort of unimaginable. And we should all, with respect to people like Desmond, who called the 2008 crisis very well, we should all be prepared to imagine the unimaginable. And what I'm talking about here is not turmoil in the Greek debt market or even the Spanish debt market, but turmoil in the US Treasury market, because US debt issuance is perceived to become so high that it raises concerns. And one important thing to keep your eye on there is what the rating agencies do and say. At the moment, they seem to be sticking their head down and trying to avoid attention. But at some point, they're going to have to recognize that many of the debt dynamics, not in the smaller OECD countries, but in the major OECD countries, are not sustainable with AAA debt ratings. The third downside risk, which kind of is a variant on that, is this whole tension in the Eurozone. And I think the concerns I have about tensions in the Eurozone aren't just about budget deficits in one or two small countries. It's about the tough ride that we've got in that region in a period where we basically are trying to implement or maintain a fixed exchange rate system in a tough period. Fixed exchange rate systems, as we know, are dead easy to maintain in bullish credit environments. Take the first 7 or 8 years of convertibility in Argentina. But when the credit environment becomes tough and stays tough, and unemployment rates go up and are different between regions within the monetary zone, that's when your rough ride comes. And I think that's very much the challenge that Europe faces, not just for the next few quarters or the next couple of years, but I think for the next 4 or 5 years. And then the final issue, which you might expect me to raise, given that I'm working for an organization sponsored by the banks, is the issue of the banking sector. Now, Desmond raised that point earlier in the context of the damage done to the banks. But the thing that worries me more, actually, is that the fix is being proposed to kind of stop another crisis. While in many ways legitimate as medium-term objectives, if they're imposed too early, and that's quite plausible given the political imperative to do something, if they're imposed too early, could actually act as a severe constraint on the ability of the banking and financial system to finance a recovery. And if we get aggressive actions taken to curtail bank activity, that will come at a significant cost to the economy in the near term.